Today we're going to talk about comparison and confidence. Let me tell you about a time when I compared myself to another mom. So my husband and I went to a local church conference that was for adults on our weekly date night. And as we were listening to the speakers, I looked over a couple chairs down and I noticed this mom of 6 who went to church with me, and I immediately started comparing myself to her. She had 6 kids, which is like mind-blowing that she was even surviving that. But there were not only 6 kids, but they were great kids. They served others, they memorized scriptures, she homeschooled them, and I started just really comparing myself and spiraling. And when that conference ended, my husband and I sat in his truck and I just started bawling, and I was like telling him how I felt awful because I felt like I wasn't as good of a mom as she was. And he turned to me and he said something I'll never forget. He said, "Do you think God wants 2 of her? Do you think he wants you to be exactly like her? No, he made you special, and because you have things to contribute, you have value." And that was exactly what I needed to hear. And I'm guessing that that's something you probably need to hear. God doesn't want 2 of anyone. He made you special with gifts and unique talents that you can contribute in this world. And so we have to be careful not to look sideways, but just to focus on our own self and our gifts and what we can contribute to this world. So, but it's an easy trap to get caught in. Comparison is the thief of joy, though. Anytime I start to catch myself getting down on myself, it often has to do with me comparing myself to someone else. I used to do this back in the day when I was a photographer. I would see other photographers work and I would be like, "Oh my gosh, she's so amazing. Look at all this beautiful art, imagery and artwork that she's done. Why can't mine look like that?" And it wasn't until, and it's funny because I felt like it was like a punch in the gut. Like I physically felt that feeling of like comparing myself to another photographer, and it did not feel good. And it wasn't until I started to really focus on my own work, put my head down, not look sideways, and compare myself to myself, that my work started to look how I wanted it to, and that my work improved in the way that I wanted it to. And so I want to encourage you to, instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to yourself. How are you doing compared to the girl you were a year ago? And instead of comparing yourself to anyone else, just compare yourself to yourself. Another tip is to be aware when you compare. So catch yourself comparing yourself to others and then ask yourself, what is it that she has that I want? Sometimes that can be a good trigger to show you the things that you want in this world and to help you know what to go after so that you can use it as inspiration. I think it's so tricky with social media, though, because we're constantly seeing everybody else's highlight reels. Nobody wants to post their hot mess on social media. And so we're comparing our, behind the scenes to their highlight reel. And we have to remember that everybody is struggling with something and that nobody has it all together. And one thing that has really helped me is to take a 24-hour break from social media on a regular basis. So I do it every Sunday, and I call it Sundays Off Social Media. It's a hashtag, it's a movement. I'd encourage you to try it. But for today's challenge, I want to encourage you to take a 24-hour period, or even just the rest of today, off social media so that you can really just focus on, you can put your head down and not compare yourself to everybody else's highlight reels. And that has helped me so much to take just one day off a week where I can really be present with my family and really listen to my inner self and ignore my inner mean girl and ignore all the comparison, all the ideals that I think that are out there on social media, and just focus on me and my family. And so that's your challenge for today.